Alright, so in this chapter we're going to do a few different things. The first thing I want to do is implement the volume control. Alright, because right now if we play it and turn it up, it doesn't do anything. Okay, it's not getting louder or softer. Alright, so let's open up the HTML with Notepad and the main JavaScript file. Alright, so we have play, pause, and stop functionality, which is all set. So what we want to do is grab the volume object. Alright, so if we go to the HTML, we have an input which has the ID of volume. Alright, and the minimum is 0 and the maximum is 10, and the default will be 4. Alright, so let's grab this with jQuery. Alright, I'm going to add some comments here just so we know what everything does. Okay, so we want volume control. So let's grab that with jQuery. The input tag has an ID of volume. Alright, so what do we want to do with that? We want to do something when it changes. So we're going to use the change event. And inside the change, we want to run a self-calling function. And what we want to do is grab the audio object and use the volume property. So audio volume is going to equal parse float, and we're going to use the keyword this, which pertains to the actual volume control, value divided by 10. Basically, the parse float function, it parses a string and returns a floating point number. Alright, and then inside of that we're going to say this value divided by 10, because 10 is our max. Alright, so let's try this out. Alright, so I'm going to turn it up. Down, up. Alright, so it's working. So it's as easy as that. You can see very minimal amount of code to implement the volume. Alright, so the next thing we want to do is implement the duration. Okay, we want this timer to go when the song's playing, and we also want this progress bar to fill up as the song plays. Alright, so what we're going to do is create a new function and put a comment. I'll just say time / duration, and I'm going to create a function called show duration. Alright, now what I want to do is we want to bind the time update event. Okay, so with the audio API, there's a time update event which basically shoots off every second. Alright, so what we want to do is grab the audio object, and we want to set bind, and the first parameter is the name of the event, which is going to be time update, and then the second is going to be a function. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is get the hours and minutes, and we're going to set a couple variables. S is going to be for second, basically we're going to call this parse int JavaScript function on audio dot current time. We want the percent, and then we want 60. Okay, so this little formula here is basically just going to give us the seconds that have passed. Okay, so now we want to grab the minutes, so we'll say variable m equals parse int, which just turns whatever is in here into an integer, into a number. And same thing, audio dot current time divided by 60, and then here we want modulus 60. Okay, so that little formula will give us the minutes. Alright, now what I'm going to do here is run a check and see if the seconds are less than 10, and if they are, I want to put a 0, because by default it's going to say it'll be like 1, 2 or something like that. I want it to be 102. Okay, so it's very easy to do. We just need to create a little condition. I will say if seconds is less than 10. Alright, then what we're going to do is say s is equal to 0. S is equal to 0 plus s. Alright, so if it's 4, it'll be 04. Okay, so next, what we want to do is insert the time or the duration into the duration div. Okay, so we have a div with the ID of duration. So let's select that with jQuery. Okay, duration, and to insert HTML into a div in jQuery, we can just use the HTML method. And what we want to put is first the minute, and I'm going to concatenate a dot, and then concatenate on the seconds. Okay, I'm sorry, not a dot, I want a colon. Alright, so that'll put it in, and next we want to implement the progress bar. Alright, so this is fairly easy. We just want to get a percentage for the time, and then we'll set that percentage as the width on the progress bar. Alright, so we're going to start with creating a variable called value, and that's going to be equal to 0. And we want to do an if statement, and basically we're going to say if audio current time is greater than 0, then value is going to equal math. We're going to use the math function, the math.for function, and inside here basically I'm going to put another set of parentheses and say 100 divided by audio dot duration multiplied by audio dot current time. Okay, so this is basically going to give us a percentage of out of 100 where the actual song, the time in the song is. Alright, and then under here we're going to grab that progress div, and we're going to add some CSS using jQuery, and basically we want to get the width property. Okay, and we're actually going to set that to the value and percent. So let me just concatenate on the percent. Alright, so every second every time the time update event fires off, which is every second, the value will increase up until it's 100%, which will be the whole song. Alright, so let's give this a shot. Okay, I'm going to reload. Alright, so the song is playing, but we're not getting a duration. Let me just check out the JavaScript. Okay, we're not getting any errors. Oh, you know what? We haven't called the show duration method. Alright, so we have to actually call this in the play. When we click the play button, we'll call that function. Alright, so let's try this again. Alright, so we can see the time, and you can see the progress bar as well filling up. Excellent. If we pause it, it stays where it's at, play it, keeps going. If we stop it, it goes back to 0. So that's working perfectly. Alright, so the last thing we have to do here is just implement the playlist and be able to switch through songs. So I'm going to save that for the next chapter, and I will see you there. Thanks.